Flowers are my passion. Every morning I come into my garden and look for inspiration to create. I really want to inspire you to start working with flowers. In this chapter, you're going to learn the necessary skills you need to learn before we jump into arranging, like choosing the right flowers, learning how to process them and prepare them for arranging. When you go to the flower market, you might feel overwhelmed, but the things that you're looking for are mostly main and focal flowers, which would be the big flowers that will make your arrangement really stand out. You're looking for companion flowers. Supporting flowers is the same thing. Flowers that have a different size than the main one, that will go from one side of your arrangement to the other one, creating beautiful shape and color. You're also looking for texture. Anything that brings texture into your arrangement is amazing. You can have yarrow, you can have rice flowers, you can have grasses. How amazing is the texture of this grass? You know, anything that brings texture into your arrangement will make it juicier and more beautiful. And lastly, you're always looking for movement. And movement will be done by really beautiful curvy stems like this cosmos. Some butterfly ranunculus that have curvy, graceful stems are great for movement. The first thing you need to know is, where are you going to get your flowers from? I have this beautiful garden, and it has taken me a long time to develop it, but if you don't have a garden, it doesn't really matter. Going local, seasonal, is the best way to go. You will have fresh flowers, healthy flowers, and flowers that will last longer in your arrangements. Also, local and seasonal flowers have a lot of personality. And the way to go for it is just go to the market, to any garden around you, to any local grower, and start looking into flowers first. Don't try to think about arranging them, but just getting closer to them, just getting to know them a little bit, and then you are ready to start maybe buying some and putting them together to arrange. So let's walk around here and learn a little bit about how to choose your flowers and what are the elements you need to create your first floral arrangement. I always allow myself to go to the market and just fall in love with one flower and take it from there. That flower will dictate to me not only the shape of my arrangement, but also the colors that I'm looking for. So when you go to the market, you might want to buy one flower that is this size, but it's also nice to buy another flower that is smaller, and has different textures and different tones. By buying these flowers together, you will create a beautiful contrast in your arrangement. And it's not so difficult to think about color when you take this approach, because this flower is showing me exactly how well they go together. I know that to think about color when you're in the market can be very intimidating. And some people just tell me that they don't know what to choose in terms of color. But believe me, if you take the time to look at one flower, she can give you the right steps to buy the rest of your flowers. When it comes to creating an arrangement, you also want to have different tones and maybe go for lighter tones to darker tones. In this case, next to these selections of flowers, I would love to have something that will give me more contrast. I don't want to have an arrangement that is just dark colors. I want to have an arrangement that also has the light moments in it, but it has to be the right kind of contrast. Can you see how this flower on the side has tones that speak to the color that we were talking about? So this is the way to think about color. You're also looking for texture when you are buying your flowers. And this is celosia, one of my favorite flowers. It's very easy to find in any flower market. And I just love not only the flower, but all the leaves. It's so beautiful. And she will be an ideal accent if you're looking for texture. Now let's talk about the flower base that you're going to use for your arrangements. Let's find one. When you're buying your flowers, you're also looking for small, delicate flowers that will be the base of your arrangement. Yarrow is one of my favorite flowers. I love the texture, I love the different tones, and she would be an ideal base for your floral arrangements. For the layer of movement, it's not the same to work with stems that are thin and beautiful and graceful than to work with stems that are really thick. It wouldn't be nice to have something really thick sticking out of your arrangement, so always think about buying delicate thin stems for movement. I'll show you what I mean by the thick stems. This beautiful Café au lait dahlia wouldn't be ideal for movement. She has a very thick stem, and we're looking for graceful, delicate stems. But she would be ideal for the focal flowers in a large-scale arrangement. I wouldn't use this Café au lait for a smaller arrangement. She would take all the attention. But when you're looking for focal flowers, this is exactly the right size you're looking for. Something that is more or less the size of your hand. Something like this, you know? Now, let's talk about foliage and look for the right foliage for our arrangement. When it comes to foliage, there are so many types and shapes and colors and tones for foliage, and foliage is a very important part of your arrangement. I love this one, for example. Its name is Oropetalum. I just love how she would be ideal for a dark foliage arrangement. And this stem, it's a lesson in color on its own. It goes for green, darker, brown, all the way to red. And I love all the texture in it, and the shape that will give me in my arrangement will be great. But in terms of foliage, you have millions of options. Just go out there, look for the seasonal foliage around you, and grab the most delicate curvy stems. Those will be the ideal ones you're looking for when you're arranging flowers. Now that you've learned how to choose your flowers, let's go to my studio and learn how to process them and care for them for arranging. Now we're in my studio. You have learned how to choose your flowers, and now we're going to learn how to process them. When it comes to processing flowers, you have very general rules for all the flowers. The main thing is to avoid bacteria in water. I'm going to start with a type of flower that has sap. This is a Tweedia. It's a beautiful flower. Sap is some kind of, milky thing that comes when you cut the stem. It's actually very sticky. It's very annoying. But it's not only about that. Sap is not good for other flowers. And so for any stem that has sap, the thing you have to do is cut your flowers, put them in boiling water for 10 seconds, that's just good enough. That will make the sap to stop, and then you can put them in cold water. Now I'm going to teach you something very general for flowers. When you buy them in the market, they always have leaves, and as leaves are beautiful, but the thing is you want your flower to drink as much water as possible. So the thing you want to do is to remove the leaves so the water comes and hydrates the flowers. So you just have to remove the leaves, it's very simple. Always buy sharp clippers. If you have really terrible clippers, this will make this process really annoying. And not only that, you might not cut the flower in the right way. So I'm just gonna get rid of the leaves. Again, give them a cut diagonal. If you do it straight, just like this, and you put this stem into the water, it might just stick into the bottom and not be able to drink. So what you do as a general rule with flowers is you cut them in a diagonal way, like this, and then you place them in water. When you place your flowers into your vessel, make sure that the water is clean and also that you give your flowers enough room to open. Don't jam too many flowers into one vessel because that will rotten the petals and won't allow them to open. Another type of stem that you have to learn how to process are what we call the woody stems. Any woody stem would really benefit from you not only cutting like this, but splitting it into two. You can even scratch the wood from the woody stem, and that will really allow your stem to drink water and hydrate properly. And then, once you finish, you cut it and you place it in water. Some types of flowers create a lot of bacteria in water, like yarrow, so it's really good that you clean them. Can you see how even if this one is freshly bought, it has already some of the leaves rotten? That's because the leaves were inside the water, so you really want to avoid that. This is rice flower. I really love it. I love the texture. I think it's a fantastic flower to arrange. But this type of leaves create a lot of bacteria if you leave them inside the water. So just remove the top stems and grab your flower from the top and remove the bottom leaves. Just like that. That's it. Take the time to process your flowers. If you really clean your stems, if you do it kindly, you will discover that your flowers will last longer and they really don't need anything else. These general rules apply for most of the flowers. So now you have learned how to choose your flowers, how to care for them, process them, and you are ready to start exploring with me how to create beautiful arrangements.